Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video we are going to be taking a look at the intimate relationships, traumas and transformation, all connected with having the sign of Cancer ruling the 8th house within your natal birth chart. Now I also recommend watching this video if you have your moon within the 8th house as well within your birth chart, because it may just resonate. However, if you are a Cancer yourself, this video may resonate if you have Cancer ruling your 8th house, but it may also not resonate as well. So it's really important that you go to whichever sign rules that 8th house cusp for you. So for example, if you have Sagittarius ruling your 8th house within your birth chart, then go to the Sagittarius video. Or if you have Capricorn ruling your 8th house within your birth chart, then go to the Capricorn video, and so on and so forth. However, before we do get started, if you would like to know more information all about Scorpio, looking at your Scorpio house within your birth chart, along with your Pluto sign and house, as well as your 8th house within your birth chart, then I have created a Scorpio season / archetype ebook. So what I am going to do is I'm going to provide a link to that ebook in the description box below so that you can pick up your copy today. Okay, so with all those introductions out of the way, Cancer ruling the 8th house, let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by looking at your approach towards your intimate relationships, followed by possible traumatic experiences or possible traumatic emotional blockages that should be brought to your attention, maybe ones that you're not aware of, okay? And then we're going to finish up by addressing your transformation. So really looking at how you can evolve and how you can grow and rise up from those hypothetical phoenix ashes. Firstly then, addressing your approach towards your intimate relationships, Cancer. Now this approach is really quite emotional, touchy-feely. It's quite clingy, smothering, possibly. It can be pretty full on, okay? And the reason why this can be is because you yearn for a really deep, intimate connection with someone else as a way to really validate your own emotional security. And it's this same emotional security that may be linked to unconscious drives that stem back from your childhood that were maybe missing, or perhaps there were certain nurturing qualities from a certain parental figure, or it was an actual mother figure who you did not feel that real emotional connection with, okay? Maybe there was a yearning for that closeness, for a bond with a mother figure or with the nurturing parent, or it's just female figures overall it can be, but maybe to the extent that you yearn for wasn't really necessarily provided. This could have been because of the absence of a mother figure within your life. Could have been physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever way it was, they kind of emotionally checked out. And so for you, moving forward and into an intimate relationship with someone, there is this unconscious layer to you that really seeks out that missing piece that you feel perhaps very strongly that you were not given, you were not provided with as a child. Now, of course, these are things that are perhaps unconscious, and this is also kind of leaning in towards the traumas as well in that regard. But still, keeping on this approach towards your intimate relationships, you just seek so much emotional security and depth with someone else, but maybe to the point where it becomes quite clingy and needy and perhaps even overbearing. However, this could even be where you can also go the other way, where you're completely guarded and shielded from it. Think about the archetype of Cancer, or the symbol even, is yes, it's the crab, but there is that hard exterior. Now inside, of course, there is that feeling mushy, sensitive, empathetic, that inside layer, but on the outside it's really defensive. And Cancer, this Cancer symbol can then sort of signify for you, if you have this placement, where you are guarded, then you shield yourself from certain intimate connections because you almost know unconsciously just how sensitive you are. This could be a situation, Cancer, where you're out in public and you may even see, like, you may see a certain child who is crying, for example, or who's being yelled at from their parental figure, maybe in a way that's not remorseful or sympathetic or caring. It's just quite aggressive and almost cruel. And you may look at that child and not even just see what's happening, but you may actually physically feel that emotional complexity within yourself. You almost feel into that child's hurt and their own pain. And I think that there's something to be said about how that child going through that perhaps reminds you of what you felt, how it felt to be in that child's shoes whenever you were just a child yourself. And it's like you maybe don't necessarily remember what you experienced from your own parents and how they treated you, but there's that feeling, there's like this inner knowing. And so as you go out into the world and you observe your reality around you, you observe other people, if you see that there's certain emotional complexities coming up from other people, especially children, right? Especially children, especially innocents, like young people, animals also, you know, those who really depend, like they truly depend on adults to guide them and help them and mentor them. You feel into that pain almost, or their suffering, because there's a part of you that almost knows, like, I get that, I get how that feels. And so there's this strength this strong emotional tie or bonding that you feel towards people around you. And you can sort of absorb other people's emotions, and then you start to feel into those emotions, and then that can even throw you off. That can throw you off from properly enjoying the moment, and it can maybe even set you into a spiral into your past, you know, going into your mind then and being just overloaded with past memories. You know, Cancer is a sign that's really good at looking back at the past and reflecting, and that self-reflecting can be quite beneficial in terms of how we can evolve and move forward and grow. And it can be nice as well to look back on family photos and events and gatherings and smile and be like, yeah, those days were great. But if it's done to the point of, oh my gosh, like, that reminds me of this time whenever my mother said that to me, or that time when my mother hit me possibly, or this time when my mother rejected me, or when my family made me feel this way, and that just sends you back into this false perception of reality in a way where you start to then seek all these memories and you just keep replaying it. But with every time you replay those memories, you find something else, and that can be hard. That can sweep you away from really being in your moment with someone else. And so due to the memories that you hold, or due to those times when you reflect on the past, even approaching your intimate relationships, they may come with these inner complexities, these emotional complexities, where you may fear that the same cycles, right? Moon's all about cycles and patterns, so the same habits are going to keep repeating themselves. And there may be that repetition actually that you get into with certain intimate partners. You may enter into a certain union with someone, right? And then you go through a certain experience, and then you may come out of that experience and onto another connection with someone else, and then you go through the same cycle, but it may just be so repetitive and unconscious that you don't even realize that it's there. So the key with that is to become aware of those patterns, or become aware of your actions specifically and how you align with those certain patterns as well, and how you can then essentially change that. and create something else, something new for yourself, right? And that also kind of leads into the transformation process, of course, but still looking at your approach to intimate relationships on a more positive note here. Yeah, it's nice. Like, it's really, I think it's really nice if you can learn how to accept a partner and be empathetic towards yourself and them at the same time, and not come across as needy or like codependent, like that codependency of, but I need you to survive, I need you here to validate me and be around me, because without you I might die, or without you it'll be the be all end all, you know. That can be so toxic. But if you can maneuver past that and move into a space of, I appreciate you, like you are you, you're your person, your own person. I'm going to be considerate towards your needs, but I'm also going to think about my needs and my individuality as well. You know, this outlook, that can be really helpful, of course, and really important, rather than becoming swept away by the emotional currents that exist between you and your intimate partner and how much you yearn for that connection. But, you know, still looking at the protection as well, the defense mechanisms here, like I was saying, there can be this tendency of you closing yourself off, you know, and this may be unconscious. It may be these unconscious defense mechanisms that it's these defense mechanisms that keep you back from fully giving of yourself and fully receiving love. And these defense mechanisms may be something that you were forced to build. You know, you had to kind of learn how to guard yourself because of being hurt in the past, or because of how much pain certain crisis or urgent situations, how much pain was associated with those. And even looking at the crisis and urgency here associated with the 8th house, maybe as a child you experienced such crisis, and it was things that no child should have necessarily experienced from such a young age. I mean, children being exposed, for example, to pornography, right, from such a young age. I'm sure there is quite an implosion on their psyche from seeing that, being exposed to that, or being exposed to violence within the home, being exposed to people yelling and shouting and screaming, being exposed to abuse, you know, sexual abuse, physical abuse, all these 8th house matters that perhaps you as a child you were exposed to in some shape or form, that maybe you blocked them out, you repressed them, you were traumatized so much, but you went into the freeze mode or the flight mode or the fight mode even. All different survival mechanisms, but later on from those experiences into your later adult years, you subconsciously then start to close or guard yourself because it's just too much to look at. This could even be where you have habitually taught yourself how to cope with certain traumatic situations in your life, and so by you unconsciously training yourself to do it, you stay in a state of self-denial, and so then you miss what is actually happening. You miss it all because of that emotional pull and because of that kind of self-denial attitude towards it. So for example, let's say that you're out with your partner, you're out with your intimate partner, and you think that you're picking up on something that they are doing or someone else is doing to them, and maybe it's an uncomfortable thing, perhaps because of past experiences that you've been through, and instead of like being in it and seeing it for what it is and really addressing it head on, you repeat those same habitual patterns. You kind of go back into those childish emotional tides where you close off, where you kind of sink into yourself and then you kind of put your head down, where you maybe erupt ragefully or go in attack mode, fight mode, or you may just completely freeze. And from that freezing position, there's that, nah, I don't want to look at it, don't want to look at it, bury it, bury it, bury it, get rid of it, I don't want to look at it. And there can be so many times that you do that repeatedly, instead of just releasing it, letting it out. So many times you do that and you may just become numb to how you truly feel. And so this is why it's really important, of course, for you to just to communicate with your intimate partner. If there's anything that you notice that reminds you of a similar pattern or experience, just to communicate it, you know, instead of being fearful about it or afraid of those vulnerabilities. I guess that also sort of leads on to the transformation as well in a way, but still, your approach towards these intimate relationships can suggest such a caring, nurturing, open companionship or embracement that you share with somebody else. It can be so nice and beautiful, but there can also be this side to this placement where you just find it hard to deal with those emotional complexities, especially if you're highly reactive to everything that's going on. It's like you're constantly reacting to it all rather than just, you know, there's something to be said about learning how to just breathe, right? Just breathe. I know that that is easier said than done, because I understand that your emotional turbulences can be a roller coaster of emotion, and it can be really difficult to also overcome such deeply rooted, unconscious, past, habitual emotional patterns. It can be really difficult to maneuver those and change those. But I just think that there's such an importance here of learning how to respond to things rather than always reacting to things. Now, I personally, I have my moon in the 8th house, and I resonate quite a bit with what I've been saying throughout this video. You know, I resonate quite well with some points, and I know for myself that I can be quite reactive, and I can find it difficult to control certain emotions that are really quite deep, especially emotions that are fearful or emotions that are vulnerable. I also understand the difficulty with really letting out my emotions and communicating them with other people, and expressing my vulnerabilities and my sensitivities, and yeah, those things can just be so personal to us, and it can be hard to let other people in that way. But the whole point of the 8th house is it's that connectivity. It's the opening up about how you're really feeling instead of denying it and repressing it and seeing them as issues, as something wrong with you. So yeah, I get these things, and these are definitely things that I'm currently trying to work through myself within my life. But I do also think that there can be such a nurturing and kind and loving, embracing energy that you can give off within an intimate partnership if you really just allow yourself to work through those inner demons, Cancer. And I guess this leads us on to the traumas, okay? So why is this, you know? Where are these certain traumatic experiences coming from? And there can be emotional turbulences that you experience with a mother, or you did experience with your mother, or from a nurturing parent overall. And so there may have been a mother figure in your life, or female figure, nurturing figure, whatever, you know. But it was this figure that was up and down, just was that roller coaster of emotion for you in your life. You didn't really know what to expect. It was like that trigger, you know, putting your hand on the trigger and it would just go off like boom, and you would say one thing to this person or these even people and it would just be a complete chaos. It would just be just frustration, and there can even be emotional immaturity from your family, right? This could just be overall family. Of course, the moon can look at the nurturing parent, it can look at the mother figure, it can look at female figures, but it can also look at your family unit overall. And so family members may be quite emotionally immature, and you sort of learn from them also growing up from that emotional immaturity as well, because of course we learn from our caregivers, we learn from the past experiences, from the people we surround ourselves with. And so struggles with these figures may have happened within your life, Cancer, and there may have also been a lack of that emotional connection, that emotional fulfillment that I also kind of explained. But another thing could be that you have some sort of issues to work through in relation to your family. There's maybe a lot of resentment that you hold towards family. Maybe you just think that it's so unfair that you were not given the correct sort of help and support, especially emotional support, that you yearn for. Maybe that frustrates you so much and maybe you're not even aware of it, but it's like you unconsciously project all of that and you take it out on your intimate partners, and you close yourself off from forming a deep, intimate bond with someone else. And I think that it stems back from this lack of emotional support. It stems back from childhood denial. So there's just a lot to unravel with your past conditioning and your family. Maybe there was emotional manipulation from your mother, from your family. Maybe there was these inner frustrations that your mother had of rage and anger and annoyance and upset that you picked up on, but you were seen as that emotional dumping ground for her. And so these traumas, they maybe cut deep for you, and you maybe get into these repetitive cycles with your intimate partners. And so I feel that leading on to the transformation, Cancer, it is so important that you learn how to validate your emotions and to stop like looking at certain ones as bad, or looking at certain ones as things that my mother didn't let me do or express, so I'm going to keep it in, or feeling ashamed or embarrassed, or all these different emotional tides that you can get into towards even your own emotions. It's like you get emotional over your own emotions. You feel an emotion, maybe it's anger, but instead of looking at that emotion as anger for what it is, you then get embarrassed by the anger. So you've got like two emotions wrapped up in one here. And that's exhausting. That is so exhausting to think or associate with a certain emotion that you have that is so valid as embarrassing or shameful, as something you should be guilty about. Because then that's going to create even more inner turmoil within you, Cancer. And then you're just going to constantly be in this pool of, should I express this emotion? Should I not? Should I be vulnerable? Should I not? Is this okay? And then even your sensitivity levels will just go through the roof, and you'll be super hypersensitive towards the stimuli, towards anything your partner does. Like you're always on guard, like, can I relax? Can I relax? Can I relax? Oh, I can't relax. So just, if you feel a certain way, validate and mother yourself. You know, maybe there were times during your childhood when you felt a certain way, you ran to your mother, you ran to a certain parental figure, and you were like, I feel this way, like I'm sad, I'm going through this is happening. But what you expected from them was not given to you. It was looked at as, oh, don't be silly. I'll grow up. Don't stop crying. Oh, it's fine. Get over it. You didn't get over it. But you know what? The reality is that your mother's not going to be here forever. Your parents aren't going to be here forever. No one is. and always depending on other people to validate how you feel, that's not going to get you very far if you expect to heal yourself and transform. So the importance and the key lies in you validating your emotions and being your own mother figure in that way. Nurturing your own emotions, caring for them, supporting them. If you need to cradle yourself sometimes, if you need to do what you gotta do to help yourself navigate through that emotion, then go for it. Of course, please don't do anything self-destructive, because that can happen here, where you turn to certain things, you know, certain ways to cope that maybe are quite unhealthy for your well-being. So looking at healthy patterns that you can form when it comes to your emotional security, Cancer, it's just so important for you to show support and care towards yourself, and to address these defense mechanisms, and to also let go of these traumatic intimate relationships from the past that maybe really did hurt you, because, you know, from all of this confusion with family members and your emotional depths, you may have brought in or entered into certain intimate relationships that were also quite toxic and quite controlling and harmful and hurtful, which may of course then keep on digging deeper into your wounds, into your psyche, and just hurting more and more and more. So yeah, it's good to learn how to let go of a lot of that stuff. And when you enter into a new relationship, please, Cancer, try and not to repeat similar patterns. And I know it's easier said than done, and I guess that's where awareness comes in. With that in mind, Cancer, accept what you cannot control, and realize that you can't repeat the past. You can't go back there. And I know that you may do the whole melancholy thing, reflecting on the past. Those were the days, remember when this happened, it was like this. That can sweep you away from your present moment. And also, when it does come to the things that you cannot control, maybe it's good to think about how you can confront those things. Like, why is it that you can become frustrated by things that you cannot control? So confronting them head on. And yeah, you still can't control them, but instead of being so concerned with the fact that you can't, to confront it and just be like, hey, I'm confronting this, I can't control it, so yeah, I accept it. I'm gonna move on from this. I can't predict the future, you know, this is the thing. Yeah, astrology, tarot can be great for predictions, and it's good fun. It can be good fun. But no one knows the definitive answer. No one knows just what exactly the divine sort of timing is, and when things will actually come. And we can look at the alignments of the stars and give our sort of predictions, but there's always changeability, there's always new possibilities that exist, and it's always moving. And so maybe it's good to kind of sit back and just accept that it'd be healthy to let things unfold as they should, rather than being so swept away by the fact that things are not maybe going your way, or that it's just tough. But ultimately, Cancer, I think a lot of your transformation lies in truly nurturing your traumas and being present with yourself and trying to remain rational. So looking how to respond rather than reacting. Trying to remain rational whenever these really intense emotions start to arise. Because I think you know, Cancer, that whenever these intense emotions start to arise within you, you just might raise hell. You may do something completely irrational and then later regret it. So you have to really ask yourself, is it worth it? So yeah, learning how to control and master your emotions in a healthy, nurturing, caring way. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video on Cancer ruling the 8th house. So looking at your intimate relationships, your traumas, and your transformation. Now, if you do happen to have the sign of Cancer ruling your 8th house, and also if you have Moon in the 8th house, then let us know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and of course if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very, very soon.